Hello, welcome to the Through the Eyes of George YouTube channel. Today what we are going to be talking about is George Washington's thoughts on immigration and what do those things mean for us today. Now before we get started, I'd like to say that it is a goal of this channel not to extrapolate, not to pontificate, guess, make up anything about George Washington, but to go off of the things he said through letters, correspondence, speeches, George Washington biographies, things of that sort. And I personally have 40 George Washington biographies, and I have read 14 of them. So in this video, I'm going to read excerpts from 2 letters that George Washington wrote, and then I'm also going to read an excerpt from George Washington's second farewell address. And then we're going to talk about that, and then that'll be it. So let's get started. In a letter from George Washington to Francis Adrian Vanderkemp on May 28th, 1788, George Washington writes, "I had always hoped that this land might become a safe and agreeable asylum to the virtuous and persecuted part of mankind, to whatever nation they might belong." Further down, George Washington says, "Under a good government, which I have no doubt we shall establish, this country certainly promises greater advantages than almost any other to persons of moderate property who are determined to be sober, industrious, and virtuous members of society. And it must not be concealed that a knowledge that these are the general characteristics of your compatriots would be a principal reason to consider their advent as a valuable acquisition to our infant settlements." That's pretty interesting. Now, in a letter from George Washington to Vice President John Adams on November 15th, 1794, President Washington writes, "My opinion with respect to immigration is that excerpt of useful mechanics and some particular descriptions of men or professions, there is no need of extra encouragement, while the policy or advantage of its taking place in a body, I mean the settling of them in a body, may be much questioned, for by so doing they retain the language, habits, and principles, good or bad, which they bring with them, whereas in intermixture with our people, they or their descendants get assimilated to our customs, manners, and laws. In a word, soon become one people." And again, this was a letter from George Washington to John Adams on November 15th, 1794. Now, in an excerpt from George Washington's second farewell address on September 19th, 1796, George Washington writes, "Citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections the name of American, which belongs to you, in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism, more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. With slight shades of difference, you have the same religion, manners, habits, and political principles. You have in a common cause fought and triumphed together. The independence and liberty you possess are the work of joint councils and joint efforts, of common dangers, sufferings, and successes. But these considerations, however powerfully they address themselves to your sensibility, are greatly outweighed by those which apply more immediately to your interest. Here, every portion of our country finds the most commanding motives for carefully guarding and preserving the union of the whole. Now, in conclusion, one might say, in a general speaking sense, that George Washington would be for securing all of our borders of some kind. I don't know what that would look like. There's no evidence of what George Washington would want that to look like. But George Washington most likely would want some type of border security, whether that's a border secure agency, whether that's a physical wall, whether that's in today's culture drones or satellite imaging. I don't know. We cannot say, we cannot pontificate on what that would look like, but something of that sort. Also, from these letters, correspondence, and the farewell address, one could conclude that George Washington would want some type of assimilation, whether that's immigrants coming to this country, learning the majority of the people living here speak English, so whether that's them speaking English, or whether that's learning the history of our country or the laws of our country, a citizenship test. I have no idea what that would look like. But that's for today's culture to define. But definitely some type of assimilation is what George Washington would like. But I'll put these letters and the biography in the description below. I'll put put all the other information in the description below. Don't forget to click subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you for watching. To all my viewers watching this video and future viewers, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.